McConalogue. I wonder if you could outline to the House the engagement that you might have had with national governing bodies and local authorities in advance of the latest round, or the forthcoming round, of the sports capital grants.
Thanks for the question today, Deputy McAuliffe, and I know the Sports Facilities Fund is something that you're very committed to in relation to supporting clubs in your local area. In line with the previous rounds of the Community Sports Facilities Fund, a review of the current funding round has been undertaken and will be finalised shortly. It's anticipated that the next round, and the objective for the next round, will be to particularly target areas in sports that have been underinvested in over the years. And we're working to be in a position to be ready for opening a new round next month. The Department is currently collating feedback from sporting clubs and organisations, which provides valuable input to our ongoing preparations for that next round. I and my officials engage regularly with local authorities and national governing bodies in terms of engagement, in terms of helping them to shape the criteria for this new round. And new guidelines will now be published alongside the opening of the next round to ensure clubs have clarity in relation to the application round, and also will be undertaking a comprehensive communication round as well to help clubs in terms of being able to make their applications. My aim is to have as many eligible sporting bodies as possible applying by simplifying the application process and the guide, and carrying out a wide-reaching communications campaign, including with local authorities and national governing bodies. And as we know, many clubs are relying on volunteers, and with a revised and simplified application and assessment process, which my department is implementing, it will be easier and quicker for clubs to navigate the system at all stages and allow for quicker turnaround times, while also streamlining the workload for my own department. And listen, as I travel to many different parts of the country, I engage and provide the opportunity for sports clubs to engage with me as well in the different areas that I go to, Deputy McAuliffe, to get their feedback in relation to the challenges they're facing, how best we can make sure that this next round of Community Sports Facilities Fund meets their needs. And also as well to give them as much information and answer as many questions as they have in relation to how the programme and the fund has worked, and how they can best prepare for the next round. And certainly once we finalise that review and publish the new round, we will communicate that very clearly through national governing bodies and through our sporting organisations.
Yeah, and I do welcome that engagement. I suppose I want to particularly highlight an issue within cities. So often within cities, land is the key issue. And when you have land that's owned maybe by one party, and then you have a club or a sporting body, you need a degree of coordination. And I suppose of specific concern to me is that coordination, that sort of bringing parties together, isn't being done on a structural level. Now, I've done it in my own communities, trying to introduce different parties together. But Dublin City Council's parks have so much potential across the city. I'm not certain that at a senior level in the City Council, the opportunity of the Sports Facility Grant is being taken seriously in regards to all-weather pitches. There are parks right across my area that have the potential. We already have had an example in Finglas West, the Kildonan model, where two soccer clubs now have joint access to a new all-weather facility. I want to see that in parks right across Dublin City Council. And that involves Dublin City Council leading the charge.
Yeah, listen, particularly in large urban areas such as Dublin City, land can be a real challenge. And that's why, in terms of the next round, and indeed the previous round, particularly this upcoming round, we're looking to encourage educational institutions as well as local authorities to work with clubs in relation to making joint applications. Because, for example, where we can get a school that has some land available where facilities can be improved, and the children can use that during the school day and be used by a club or by the community in the evening, we get a lot more participation return for the investment that we're making. I've also tasked my officials with engaging in more detail with the Department of Environment as well, and the local authority structure in relation to how we can better structure the collaboration in relation to identifying land, and make sure that it is part of our wider policy analysis and policy suite, to make sure that the provision of sporting infrastructure and amenity infrastructure is considered in terms of how we develop communities, and particularly develop new communities.
a niche.
I do welcome what you're saying, and in some ways when the Sports Capital Grant opens, it's almost too late at that point to start to bring together parties in that way, and that's why I think the City Council has such an opportunity to lead out on this. I'm looking at a park like Albert College, for example. There's lots of small soccer clubs in particular, but also GA clubs that really need somebody to bring them together to put that package together on City Council land in a park. I'm thinking of clubs like Glasnevin FC, who really want an all-weather facility in Albert College. And there's other parks like Johnstown Park or Poppletree Park in my area that could do with all-weather facilities. And we know that these pitches are used very widely at the moment, but the wet weather we have often reduces the amount of usage that they get. Our public parks, of course, are for everybody, and we don't want to see public parks losing space, but a well-coordinated plan and better coordination with the Department of Heritage in regard to Brent Geese, I believe needs. So I'd ask you, Minister, if you could reach out to Dublin City Council and ask them what's their intention of applying this year, because I'm fearful that it won't be substantial or ambitious enough.
Thanks, Deputy McAuliffe. Listen, this is something I have engaged and will be meeting with the local authorities across Dublin in advance of the round opening up, with the objective of making sure that they're being as proactive as possible. And I know from visiting a number of clubs and working with you in your own area that this is something that you and other representatives working with you are trying to ensure that the local authority are prioritising as well. There is challenges, particularly in urban areas. Those are challenges we want to try and do our best to address. It requires everyone working together, and certainly in relation to the next upcoming round, we want to see that happen as much as possible. And also then in terms of the long-term planning, that we have that brought into that there is joined up policy approach and regulation approach that tries to make sure that land availability is something that is considered in the context of supporting a community and growing a community.